Welcome back to the Dr. Gerry Fishkin Show, where we tackle the invisible stuff that messes with your head and give it a name, a laugh, and maybe even a solution. I'm your host, Dr. Gerry Fishkin. Today's episode is called Toxic Words, the Stuff We Say That Screws Us Up. But before we get into the words themselves, let's talk about why this even matters to me. For most of my professional career, I've been interested and fascinated by how the words we use affect not only how we think, feel, and experience our world, but they also, and more importantly, limit the extent of our thinking. Our words are the building blocks of our thoughts. They're not just sounds. They're symbols we assign meaning to, and then we react to those meanings. Our words shape our feelings, our behaviors, our expectations, and even our identities. The problem? Some words come preloaded with assumptions, guilt, distortions, or emotional landmines. They box us in. By that I mean we can only think and express ourselves through the words we have at our disposal. So, in fact, many words don't just describe reality, they define it. They frame it, and sometimes they trap us in it. When we use psychologically toxic language, we limit not only how we talk, but how we think. So grab a cup of coffee or a stiff drink, depending on your relationship with the word should, because we're about to dive into the sneaky, psychologically hazardous words that sabotage our mental clarity, distort our emotions, and spark unnecessary conflict. Let's start with a doozy. Number one, the word fair. You ever hear someone say, well, that's not fair? Usually delivered with all the moral outrage of a toddler who got a smaller cookie. Here's the problem. Fair is a moving target. It's subjective, emotional, and assumes there's a universal scoreboard we all agree on. But guess what? There isn't. Here's a real life example. A friend gets promoted at work. You've been there longer, worked later nights, and feel overlooked. It's not fair, you think. But what's really going on? Maybe your boss was looking for a different skill set, or maybe the friend negotiated more assertively than you did. The word fair doesn't help. It only fuels bitterness. When you cling to the idea of fairness, you're setting yourself up for resentment and helplessness. Life's not fair. Life's just life. Reframe it. Ask, what's happening? Not, is it fair? I've always believed that the word fair was more appropriate in a school classroom than in real life. Period. Number two, the word should. The king of shame. I should be married by now. You should call your mother. We should have bought that stock. Should is a guilt grenade. It suggests there's some moral or social law you've broken, usually one you didn't sign up for. When I was in my doctoral program, I had the opportunity to study under Harold Greenwald, who was famous for his book, Direct Decision Therapy, and also his work with prostitutes. Dr. Greenwald was a very, very funny man, and he always emphasized the fact that therapy could have humor associated with it. I said could, not should. So therapy doesn't always have to be so stale, Dr. Greenwald said. Dr. Greenwald had a famous expression regarding the word should and the people who used it. He'd famously say, shouldheads are shitheads, so don't be a shouldhead. Here's a real life example. You've had a long day, you're exhausted, and someone says to you, you should exercise more. Boom, instant shame. followed by defensiveness or guilt. The word doesn't motivate, it paralyzes. Try replacing it with could, want to, or choose to. For example, I could go to the gym instead of I should go to the gym. See the difference? One opens the door, the other smacks you with it. Number 3, the word confident. People often say, I just want to feel confident. You've heard that. You've probably said it yourself. Let me break this to you gently. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It's a side effect of doing the thing you're most afraid of. Here's a real life example. You're invited to speak at a wedding and think, I'm not confident enough. You decline. The truth? Everyone's nervous. Confidence would have come after you gave the speech, not before. So if you're waiting to feel confident before you speak, act, or apply for that job, you'll be waiting longer than it takes to renew your driver's license at the DMV during lunch hour. Aim for courage, not confidence. Courage is action despite the fear. Confidence, that comes after. Another word, deserve, number 4. I deserve a raise. She didn't deserve that. He got what he deserved. This word is the gateway drug to entitlement and victimhood. It wraps up moral judgment in a pretty bow and delivers it with righteous indignation. Real life example. You finish a big project and expect praise, or at least a bonus, and it doesn't come. You feel betrayed. I deserved more. But in the workplace, deserve is often irrelevant. What matters is what you negotiated or agreed to. Deserve thinking fuels resentment. Instead, focus on effort, contribution, or agreements. Say, I worked hard and would like to renegotiate instead of I deserve more money. Nobody deserves anything, period. Number 5, normal. Oh, this is a psychologist's dream. What is normal anyway? A setting on the dryer? In statistics, normal means average or plus or minus 1 standard deviation on a normal distribution, or about 67 or 68% of a population. Using the word normal often makes people feel broken for not fitting into a fictional mold, especially in therapy. Normal is a trap. It assumes there's a correct way to think, feel, or live. And folks, there's not. A real life example. A grieving person says, is it normal to cry 6 months after a loss? The question masks the real concern. Am I okay? And the answer is yes, for you. This is your process. You're fine. A better word, authentic. Ask, is this true for me? Not, is this normal? Normal doesn't exist. Number 6, always and never. These are the drama queens of self-talk. I always screw up. He never listens. These words are almost never true, pun intended. They distort reality, shut down dialogue, and trigger defensiveness. They are absolutes that don't apply or relate to real life, period. A real life example. In a fight, you say, you never help me around the house. That word never makes the other person feel erased and escalates the conflict. And you don't want to do that. So here are a few more examples of this mental exaggeration trap. I always get stuck in traffic. No, you sometimes do, but you always sometimes breeze through. You never call me, except for last week and the week before and the week before that. I always make bad choices. This kind of sweeping statement erases all the good choices you've made, and there are plenty, I am sure. You never understand me. Another exaggeration that closes the door to connection. The danger of always and never is they don't just distort reality, they cement it in your head as if it's law. And once you believe it's law, you stop looking for exceptions. Exceptions, however, are where hope lives. Try using the word often, rarely, or sometimes. They're boring, yes, but they're honest. And honesty builds better brains and better relationships. Number 7, try. I'll try to make it. I'm trying to be better. Trying is a polite way of saying, I'm not really committed, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. Real life example, a friend says, I'll try to come to your birthday. You hear, I'm not coming, and you're probably right. Don't try, do or don't do, said the great philosopher Yoda. He wasn't wrong. Number 8, perfect. Oh, I think perfect is a horrible word. I think it's one of the most horrible words in our language, in our vocabulary. I think this word also is associated with a lot of failure and shame. And I find myself dealing with this word in treatment often, especially amongst the addicted and depressed populations. I write about this extensively in my book, The Science of Shame and Its Treatment. Let's just say for the moment, perfectionism is procrastination in a tuxedo. Striving for perfect often means you never finish or you never start. And let's face it, you can't really be feeling good about yourself if you never start or finish anything. Here's a real life example. You delay launching your website, writing your book, or starting therapy because you want to get everything just right. Meanwhile, nothing happens for weeks, months, years. Since the word perfect does not apply to real life, use the term, and I use this all the time, perfectly imperfect. You can also use the word excellent or complete or even just done. Done is a beautiful thing, but I really like the term perfectly imperfect. So, folks, here are some quick tips for rewiring your language. Number 1, replace should with choose to or prefer to. Number 2, replace fair with what's actually happening. In other words, tell the story. Don't describe it with the word fair because it's not a real word. Number 3, replace confident with courageous because you'll never get confident until you take action. Number 4, replace normal with what's true for me. Replace perfect with perfectly imperfect or just complete. Well, here are my final thoughts. As I've said, language shapes our perception, and perception shapes our reality. That is, the way in which we interpret our world. Words aren't just symbols, they're internal commands, and they run silently in the background of your mind. When you change your vocabulary, you just don't sound different. You start to think, feel, and act differently. The truth is, every toxic word we've discussed today has the power to shrink your world if you let it. But the reverse is also true. Swap them for healthier words, and you expand what's possible. You create space for curiosity, connection, and most important, growth. Here's your challenge. Pick 2 toxic words you use most often. Replace them consistently for 30 days. Write them on a sticky note. Put them on your fridge, your dashboard, your mirror. Let this be the month your language starts working for you instead of against you. And remember, small changes in words can create seismic changes in your life. Language is the steering wheel of your mind. Choose your words as if they're directions, because they are. So until next time, I'm Dr. Gerry Fishkin, reminding you that you don't need to be confident. You just need to be present and maybe carry fewer shoulds in your psychological backpack. And hey, if you found this episode useful, humorous, or just mildly therapeutic, share it with a friend who's drowning in their own shoulds. If today's message spoke to you, email me your thoughts at drgerry at drgerryfishkin.com. I might just read them on air, and yes, I'll send you one of my beautiful Dr. Gerry Fishkin show mugs with my mug on the mug. You can follow me on social media and especially at my new website, drgerryfishkin.com. If you've enjoyed today's episode on my new YouTube channel, Gerry Fishkin, so it's Gerry Fishkin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, family, or anyone you know. I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, I'm Dr. Gerry Fishkin, wishing you all my best, always. Take care, and don't try to have a great day. Have one.